this living method that I'm so proud of is actually, I'm so proud of it, but there's no I and there's no it, except for the fact that there does seem to be what Meister Eckhart might have referred to as the wayless ways. I sometimes call it the pathless path, but I kind of like the wayless ways because it's just so simple, so direct. We don't have to really figure out what it means. We understand it or we don't. And that's the thing that we need to come to. When we start reading non-duality, we are for the first time in our lives coming into contact with a message that confers and confirms truth. So what we have to realize is that not everything in a non-dual book is going to be true, because it's going to be biased by the author. You can't not be. There's a sense of self here. There's a sense of writing that seems to be coming through this unit, which is just a game. But when the singular believes itself to genuinely be a multiple, then the multiple will destroy itself, which is what? The singular. So I don't know how this would end. I don't know so much, and I'm so thankful for that. But as long as there is life, there is a sense of experiencing. If we were to somehow blow this planet up, there's life elsewhere in the universe. I'm sure the universe blows up. It's not the end, as we would think of it. It's not the end of the world if the universe blows up, but it certainly, at the end of consciousness, is the end of experiencing. So when an individual consciousness flashlight, when the batteries wear out and it just goes blank, as every single one of these flashlights will, and you have seen them probably, if you're anywhere near my age, you've seen others die. If you're not, you're gonna. If you haven't, you're gonna at some point, or you're gonna die before you do. So you're gonna either experience it, and there's no one to experience death. There simply is a non-experiencing. And we all love to think that non-experiencing is an experience in itself. So what's it like after death? Well, what was it like in deep dreamless sleep last night? That's the little death. Sometimes they call an orgasm the little death, because there's just a complete loss of everything at the peak. And it's not really self-centered. It's far smaller than that, and far bigger in an energetic way. But these little deaths, it's just a way of just trying to describe something that's just completely out of control, and there's nothing that even knows what it's doing. The Fred Davis unit has never had or the Fred Davis unit has, but oneness doesn't have orgasms. It experiences these things through these, but it wouldn't. I mean, it is it, and there's nothing for it to become excited about. There's nothing for it to come down about. There's nothing for it to become. What we have to really watch out is we can become like a teenager, which is that we just become cynical about the world, because I had an experience. I saw there's no one here, there's nothing going on, da 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 da. So now suddenly there is something back. See, and that something that's back is I. And the moment that there's the experience of an I, there's the experience of other. Now I've got trouble. And that the first thought for that occurs to every individual has to be, I'm afraid. And once that's said, it's accepted pretty much on the face value. There's no evidence needed. I'm afraid. How do you know that? Because I feel that way. Well, who's the I that feels that way? I don't know. Don't bother me with the truth. I've got a story rolling here, right? But there has to be a sense of an individual before there can be the sense of other. So the whole thing is made up. This is illusion from end to end and side to side, even though there is no side and there is no end. There's just this. There's no end to this. There's no beginning to this. There may have been a beginning to the universe as we know it, and there may have been a big bang. You know, a lot of science points toward that. And they, you know, but you're not allowed to ask what happened prior to the Big Bang. Well, there is no prior to Big Bang. Well, then is there a post Big Bang? Yes, everything is post Big Bang. And where did it come from? Nothing. You hear that a lot in non-duality, don't you? That there's just no thing. But when I say nothing, it doesn't actually mean, when I say nothing, or no thing, I don't mean there's an absence of experience. I mean that there's no thing experiencing. And the no thing, which is the absence of personal view, no thing can only experience itself, and it experiences itself as fear or joy, as pain or pleasure. We know what feels good, and we're all for it. That's what we want. We want just the feel good part. Thank you. I just want the feel good part. And the problem is, this is relativity. So if there's a feel good part, there's got to be its opposite in place. What you really are is beyond relativity and way prior to relativity. Relativity and consciousness, I don't find a difference between the two, because there cannot be relativity in the absence of consciousness, and I don't know how there can be consciousness in the absence of relativity. That can, you know, you come to know yourself consciously is what awakening is, but you were yourself always. So, and you are yourself always. So to search means me to pick myself up and look under myself and see if I can find myself. And actually I find out I can't find myself because I'm blocked by my interpretation of thought and experience. I am caught by my experience and my interpretation of my experience. And when I say my, who am I talking about? I'm talking about awakeness. The experience that awakeness, the happening is happening in and as awakeness, in the same way that if we come to a certain place within what we would call enlightenment, which is a really pejorative term, then we would find that any way that the world or our experience or our senses separate anything out, it's illusion. And it may be a good illusion, it may be a pleasant illusion, it may be done so well that you can't tell it. Betsy and I have a friend here in town. We haven't seen him in a long time, but he used to take us over to his house, and he's a magician. And it was a house of wonder, because I mean he had stuff all over the place. He had beautiful. It was really beautiful, but he had a chandelier hanging from a tree outside. And and then there was the deck, or I don't think it was a deck, I think it was concrete, but whatever, it was a concrete deck, so to speak. And it was really fun to sit under the chandelier out there, even though there was no ceiling. It was tied to a tree limb, so there was an experience of indoorness, while there was a truth of outdoorness. But he could, what reason I thought about him was that he could do a trick so fast that you could not see it. He could do some things with his hands so fast and so smooth and so slick. He had been a professional. He had had articles written about it. He was the up-and-coming magician of his era. And he remained a professional magician, but he chose to go into Trompe l'oeil, and which has value, but it is often considered in society that Trompe l'oeil is kind of like what's his name, my favorite illustrator, and it's not Rockwell, it's oh God, I've forgotten. But anyway, my favorite illustrator did not consider himself, and was not considered to be, a great artist, although he is. N.C. Wyeth is who I'm talking about. Go and find some books by N.C. Wyeth and look at those paintings, and they are just extraordinary. You just are there. And you get the whole scene of the book, the whole book you can get from these paintings. But he was not considered a great artist because this was illustration, which was considered to be a craft. Okay, no bias in that, right? The difference between a wildflower and a weed and a wildflower is a judgment. Wildflowers are weeds. Weeds are wildflowers if they flower, and they are non-flowering wildflowers if they, wild things, wild plants, if they don't. I hope you're catching this. I really do. Well, I must confess that I'm thoroughly enjoying being back. I'm thoroughly enjoying being with you again, because the sense of over here, whatever that is, the sense of being over here, there is a sense of a heart swell when I'm sitting in front of a camera. And that's because I know I'm talking to thousands of people. Yeah. And thousands of people means I'm talking to myself through thousands of microphones at the same time. And there is a beautiful, because anytime anybody listens to this, it's going to be always going to be now. If you watched it yesterday, you watched it now. If you watch it today, you watch it now. If you watch it tomorrow, you watch it now. That's only now. So this nowness, the knowing of this nowness and this oneness, brings about a sense of lovingness. And we're back to Bhakti, aren't we? Bhakti has been misjudged as an approach. It's called, it's one of the yogas. And we consider these yogas to be approaches to the knowing of God or the presence of God. But Bhakti is not a knowing. It's not a coming close to God. It's not a path to God. It's God. Jnana Yoga is God. There's nothing but God. You just see the brain will just not catch this, will it? But you can feel it. You can get it. You can actually catch this illness that I have. We call it enlightenment, because it turns out that it's subtly so, but it is contagious, I can assure you. Because people started waking up around this unit, so to speak, just the first couple. Well, actually, just the first one woke up without any sense of, there was still a sense of playing with it, of playing with another. And there was with the second one too. There was a sense of another, but there was no sense here that there was, or there was little sense. There was a sense, but there was little sense of Fred doing it. Even then, but 10 minutes later, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that's all Fred. There's no magic there, no cosmic stuff there. Not just old Fred having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's all cosmic. The sandwich is oneness, the knife is oneness, the bread is oneness, the jelly is oneness, the peanut butter is oneness. The peanuts that the peanut butter comes from the oneness, the plant is oneness. Whatever eats the peanuts, but that Fred doesn't get to have, the squirrel that raids the nest, or not the nest of peanuts, but whatever it gets to the clump of peanuts prior to the picker, a squirrel or a weasel, or I don't know if weasels eat peanuts or not, but they should try them if they don't. I personally eat peanuts. I'm very fond of them. And I say I personally, you see that? Because it feels like there's somebody here, something here that enjoys peanuts. And this mouth does, it has taste buds, thousands of taste buds. And they know what they like and they know what they don't like, but they don't have a manager. It's just happening. You don't choose to like chocolate over vanilla. The taste buds tell you, I like this more than that. We're back in duality. I love this, but I dislike that. I want this to happen, but not that. I want the good. I don't want any of the other stuff. Even if I don't call it bad, I'll call it other. And that's close enough. Because there's just, if there's self-centeredness going on, then there's just me as an individual. This would be the experience, not the truth. There would just be Fred as an egoic individual experiencing something else, something good or something bad. See, the Fred unit would instantaneously, and the Fred unit, like this woman said, is like a weather system. So there's no one calling the shots. There's no one calling the shots anywhere. There's no such thing as anywhere. They're just here. Here is everywhere, but what does that mean when there's only everywhere? So we just use language to try to get close to the truth. We can't actually get there. This whole diatribe is a lie, but it's a well-meaning lie, and I'm lying to the very best of this unit's ability in order to impart something that will intuitively be picked up there but never be understood. If you're trying to understand what I'm saying, forget it. Just sit back, relax, do nothing, and feel it. I'm not talking to that unit anyway. I'm not talking to an individual. There is no individual, and I can't talk to a unit. I mean, there's an experience of a unit within relativity, but there's no relativity. There's an experience of relativity, but by who? That's what we never ask. By who? Who's behind all that? And when you invest 24 years of looking for other, then you become very invested in other and that whole story. But the whole story is false. You are not looking for love. You're not feeling love. You're not expressing love. We will use all of these terms, and we can use them skillfully, but we cannot use them truthfully. Because there's only love. This is love speaking to love. And you know why it's speaking to love? Because number one, because it can't not. There's no one here guiding this little missile called Fred. It's an unguided missile. But it sees suffering and it feels suffering. And it sees that there's no one else to suffer, and it knows it's suffering. I am the Russians and I am the Ukrainians, all of them. Vladimir Putin is resting. Right? I don't know that he's resting, but he's certainly here. He's within oneness. He's me. I am Vladimir Putin. But I am also the kindest, sweetest person that you know, the most honest person you know. I'm all those. But and you know means that it's just you observing you in a different framework. This body is almost like a translation. As a matter of fact, we could say that manifestation is basically it's a unconscious translation of what is. Because we can find in manifestation, we can't find anything beyond manifestation, but we can notice that there's something that is enjoying or enduring manifestation. And what is that something? Well, it's you. You are the enjoyer. You are the but you are the enjoyed. There's no separation. It's not like you are both. They're just one. You know, when I say that we are not just the little man, that we're also the big, empty space or whatever. It's just language. In truth, there's no this and that. There's only this. And you know when there is only this? Right now. Anytime that there is experience, it's right now. So if there's an experience of anger or love, it's right now. And it is, but there's just a sense of anger. There's the truth of love. That's what everything is. This world, it is, it's a gift to ourselves. And I don't understand all this, and I know that there's scientists that can argue into into the middle of the night. I'm not going to argue. I don't play. You can't get me because I'm just not going to play those games. I know what is beyond that. And what is beyond that is this. And there's really only this. I love you because I can't not love you. Even love this. It's very handy to the unit. So the unit has a fondness for a calculator. But on a level that it can't be understood, I love it because it cannot exist in the absence of love. Nothing can exist in the absence of love. Manifestation, what is it? It says manifestation of what? Of love. There is the form, there's form, and there's formlessness. You're not both, because there's not two. There's an experience of form and an experience of formlessness, but if there's true formlessness, it's not an experience. It is the absence of experience. And the absence of experience is not an experience unto itself. So there's no such thing as after death. Or there's no afterlife experience. That's just life. There's just this experience. So there's no afterlife. Why would there need to be? There's this. There's this. And when I am alert to this, being this and this being I, we call that awakening or awakeness or enlightenment or whatever you want. But who is it that's enlightened? Nobody. There's only enlightenment and ignorance, we could say, and that's just one as well. And I can't make that any clearer. And I know that most of you were out there saying, could he possibly be less clear? I don't think so. There's some things that I just can't get through in words, and you can't get through them in words either. So even if I had the language, it would fall on deaf ears. I think that about wraps this up. There's not Bhakti and non-duality. Non-duality is an experience within Bhakti. There's not Bhakti and other. There's not Bhakti for Guru, Bhakti for God. Because there's no Guru, but there is the, Feels like there's something. I just can't have not located it, and I don't even know what it is that's talking. But in experience, there's bhakti only. I love you, myself. I don't always admire you. I don't always agree with you. But see, I can't not love you because you are not other than me. There's not two. So I'll conclude by going back to the first line of my first book. There is just one thing going on here. And perhaps you understand that a little bit better now. Perhaps I understand that a little bit better now. Don't try to make sense of this. Just let it wash over you. Just like I'm speaking to an individual. And that's fine too. It's just part of the play of relativity. We'll meet again soon. I'll check in, not dead, again soon. Thank you very much. I love you. Bye-bye.